Hi, Landi, and welcome back to Entrepreneurcast. It's
Hi,
great to
Svietlana.
have you again with us today. So, Landi, today I want to ask you about psychology of our
Ooh,
target markets. Let's get into the brains, the
absolutely.
heads, and go into the
Let's get into the
core.
brain. I agree. Let's do this.
So, where do we even start? With the psychology behind what people think about.
Right. So, what I say to many business owners and consultants is that if we work with people during a sales presentation or we're trying to find out who our target market is, there's a lot of strategy involved. There's a lot of business strategy involved. I've spoke to you guys quite a lot about strategy and the prosperity code and what's the step 1 to 9 that you have to follow if you want to make a business really work, want to make it thrive. But the shocking part is, Svetlana, that part is 20% of your success. My honest belief is 20%, and it brings me again back to the Pareto principle, but that 20% of business success is sometimes very predictable because right, you have to go and look for your target market. You have to, actually sell to them. You have to come up with a lead generational strategy. You have to come up with a marketing strategy. You have to do all those things. But what you have to do, number one, is get into their minds. And I believe that 80% of your business success is what's going on in your mind, but also understanding what's going on into other people's minds. So talking today about psychology in our target market, I would say number one, we need to understand a little bit better of what's going on in other people's minds.
So how do we do that? How do we understand that? Is that going back to the section session that we've done on customer avatar when you break it down, or how do we get into their heads and understand what they want, what they need?
If you find out how to get into people's heads, please let me know. It's a fascinating field of study when you really start zooming into human behavior. And if you really start to pick up on trends and patterns that brings out predictive behavior from humans. So I'm going to give you some of the human behavior 101 so that people listening to this today can apply it to a sales presentation or they can apply it to building relationships with other people. I mean, Dale Carnegie has a book, How to Make Friends and Influence People. And I'll highly recommend that book to anyone today who's listening to this, because understanding humans and understanding relationships is not only the most important thing in business and sales, it's really something that will enrich and enhance your relationships with other people. So the way that I view the brain is like this. Number one, the first part of your brain would be what a lot of people would refer to as your reptile brain or your croc brain. It's the primitive part of your brain. This part of your brain really only reacts on instinct and survival. This part of your brain really have a scarcity complex, if you may. You don't have enough money, you don't have enough time, you're in danger somehow, your safety and security is threatened. So that part of the brain will just react. It won't necessarily think because it's in survival mode. Now remember, I'm giving you this situation so that when you sell to people or when you build relationships with people, that you can become aware to which one of these brains you're talking to. This is number one, it's the croc brain or the reptile brain, right? The second brain, a level up, would be what you can refer to, if you want to, as the mammal brain. So now, reptiles is on the ground. Now we're lifting it one level up. Now you're talking about, animals, 4 legs, walking, warm-blooded. So this is the emotional brain. This is where all the emotions takes place. This is where people would want to buy from you because you're going to make a difference to their lives. You're going to transform them. You're going to make them feel good. They have some sense of belonging maybe. Maybe they need friendships, Maybe they want to feel freedom. Maybe they want to feel prosperous. So that is the part of the brain that's all about emotions. This is the part of the brain that laughs and cries and all that. So you have to have that as part of your business and solution if you want to talk psychologically to your target market. And remember, this insight is not for you to manipulate other people. This is for you to understand people better so that you can come up with a better solution for your target market. That brings you to the third brain. The thinking brain. This is the analytical brain. This brain wants to solve problems. This is the person in your target market that always talks about figures and return on investment and all that type of stuff. They analyze things. They almost want to make it complicated. So now already when you're thinking of a sales presentation, you have the survival brain element in there, the reptile brain. You have the feeling element in there, the emotions. You have the thinking element in there, which really is the numbers and the return on investment and the analytical stuff. And then the fourth brain really is the conscious brain, the bird brain, the one that sees the bird's eye view, that flies at the top and look out on everything and see the bigger picture. These are your strategists and your conscious people. They want to know the big why behind why you're doing what you're doing. Why is it important that we buy from you? Why should we be part of you? Do you have a community? Are you going to make a difference to the planet? Are you going to give back? Are you going to recycle? Are you going to be corporate, social, responsible? And that really is the highest level of thinking. So if you start drilling into those four brains, you won't only understand yourself and your behavior better, you will understand the psychology of your target market 10 times better.
So that sounds to me like, I came across quite a few different people who talk about different, like four types of people, four personalities. And when you sell to people, you target that particular, there is a way to discover what personality type they are, and that's how you kind of target your communication. Is that sort of the similar thing we're talking about?
It would be similar. This is not necessarily personality types, because personality types are quite set. So you can get a person who's, for example, a very analytical person, or you can get a person who's very precise, or you can get a person who's very social. Now, regardless of your different personality types, you can go through those four brains at any given time. So I would find personality types more constant, whereas your brain patterns and your way of thinking can change according to many things. So you can get up this morning and be very detail orientated in your analytical brain, or you can be in your bird brain, your conscience brain, or you can be today in a very feeling type. So this is where it becomes really important to read people. Because with personality types, we sort of treat people as if they're always constant, You're always going to be analytical, you're always going to be, social, you're always going to be like that. Whereas with your thinking patterns, it really differs. And it depends on a lot of different variables that's going on for that person on that specific day.
So that's all about the specific day. Would you say during different age gaps that we go through, we engage more with certain parts of the brain? So like as a teenager, we would be like more impulsive, and then when we grow up, we become more analytical, something like that.
Very much. I think we are really not always constant. We change. Our personalities becomes more flexible, as we grow, or it becomes more restrictive as we grow. And a lot of people would say to you that external circumstances play a massive role on how people react, and internal circumstances, whether it's your brain patterns or your DNA, also play a massive role. The trick for you in business is to start understanding where people are at a given point when you're talking to them. And it goes actually much further than that, because you also have to understand who's this target market that you are constantly talking to. I mean, if you target, for example, accountants, you have to take their analytical personalities into account, because you're dealing with accountants, but you also have to take into account that even a crowd full of accountants may have certain likes and certain dislikes because of the psychology that's going on in their minds. And the best way for you to get into it, the best way for you to understand exactly where people are and where your target market is to really get involved with them, build relationships with them, learn their behavior, learn their moods, learn their personality types, hang out with them, be on their social media pages, invite them for something at your office, a focus group. Serve them some muffins, coffee. If it's wine they like, do wine tastings for them and ask them these questions. Ask them, what do you feel? What do you like? Explain to them these brains, Say to them, are you people who find yourself more in a thinking pattern mode? Are you more of a conscious person who is more into, emotions or story? Get to know your target audience. And it's great to jump on Google and do research. It's even 10 times better to go and mingle with them and become their friends.
Amazing. So let's do a quick recap before we wrap up with a
Sure.
bullet point.
Sure. Right. So let's look at you want to go, you're listening to this today, and you want to reach your target market more from a psychological point of view. It's great to have a good product, it's great to have a good solution, but you're not going to be able to refine it to something absolutely amazing for your clients. And this is why we're having this conversation. If you're not able to get into their heads and into their hearts, you need to understand what they're thinking and what they're feeling. So the first way of doing it would be to use something like the 4 brains and understand which people are in a survival mode, which people are in an emotional mode, which people are in a thinking and analytical mode, and which people are in a consciousness, I want to change the world mode. That would be number 1. So go and try and make that distinction between the 4 brains and learn how those 4 brains would react. That would be number 1. Number 2 would then be to go and refine who's in your target market. For example, it's accountants. They're all female and they're single mothers, for example, and then go and reach out to these people and start mingling with them. When I say start mingling with them, ask them questions. Ask them what they like, what they dislike, what they feel, what they think, what they want. And then number 3, once you've asked them these questions and you understand what they feel like a little bit more better, start and refine the products and services that you render to these people. Start refining it so it fits into their lives and feelings and minds more. That would be my best advice for you today on reaching your target market with a psychological approach.
Thank you very much for your message today, Landi. Really appreciate it. It's great having you back on the show, and I really look forward to seeing you the next week.
Thank you, Svietlana. It's always nice to be on your show. Have a nice week. Bye, listeners.